All right.
Well, we do it casually.
All right.
All right, we're here with Robert from Well Done, looking spiffy as always. I've been telling everybody about your uniforms. I love them.
Yeah, they turned out great, man. They turned out great.
I love them. I want all my guys to get them.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
turned out.
think I don't think they're sold on them yet.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So with the shirts, man, I'm probably gonna eventually get like a different type, like for the field, because these are kind of pretty. So they get like if they get stains on them or whatever, they're a little bit hard to get out. But if I find like another type, because these are what do they call it? Sublimation.
Mm-hmm.
So or that, or just go a darker, use more darker colors instead of kind of switch up the coloring a little bit. That might help a little bit. 'Cause when you're playing in the mud, it kind of gets messy a little bit. But once they get something that's nice and cool, I think they'll buy into the shirts. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I imagine customers
yeah.
love the shirt.
Customers love them. Even we run mainly sub model right now, and even our subs ask for shirts sometimes. So they're like,
Really?
yeah,
Dang.
shirts or a hat or something. They're like, when do I get one? I'm like, man, I don't know yet. But I'll typically, I have some extra hats, so I'll typically throw them a hat, and then we're supposed to order some more shirts here. Recently, we switched the vendors that we were using, so between them and that, they have to get all the coloring right and things like that. But it's all should be almost done where we order some more shirts pretty soon. Then I can give them out.
Nice.
So did you see a difference in the customers when you changed the uniforms over?
Yeah, most customers just kind of a lot of the whole idea behind the brand was like we wanted something like fun and catchy, cute even, right? And so that's really the reaction that we get from most, and not just women, men too.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we may be in because we do a lot of stuff virtual, so we're either at a co-op space, Starbucks, or McDonald's or whatever, just for internet access for a couple hours, and usually every time somebody will come up and be like, "Man, what's up with this shirt? What is this? I gotta know." And it's just a conversation starter. You're able to give them a card. They're like, "Oh yeah, I love it. I'm gonna give you a card out in my neighborhood or whatever." So it's just a way to it's just another way to capture attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all it is capturing attention, getting people to turn their head and think twice. Because you can go into a room now, and if I don't go into that room again for 6 weeks, people will come up and be like, "Man, I know I've seen the shirt. It's 6 weeks ago," but it captures in their mind, and so that was kind of the whole idea behind it. And just working with Dan and Kick Charge, they do their thing anyway. So
Yeah. We've talked about one of our episodes. We talked about Dan
mhm.
Antonelli. I mean, just the importance of just branding in general. So many people are operating out of just plain
Yeah, they missed the
business.
boat a lot, man. And if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, "No way, I'm putting a mascot on my shirt." But you kind of grow, and then if you watch, I think Dan's got some videos out there that just kind of talks about the whole concept of the mascot. Why use an animal or something instead of a superhero? He talks about all the kind of like his thought process behind that. And once you hear it, it makes sense. Once you
So
hear it.
is he? He doesn't always use mascots. Is he like pro mascot or just?
Yeah, so he uses a lot of mascots. They can do it without a mascot. Sometimes, a lot of us will start off using, our initials, so R and R or JR or whatever, and it'll just be that and whatever you do. So he's against that most of the time.
Yeah.
And so they'll coach you into like, we gotta rethink this name. And then he has a book too for
Yeah.
anybody that wants to kind of just get an idea. Even if you don't use Dan, it has a lot of good information in there behind like the naming and things like that.
That's what we did. I wanted to ask you what it was like working with him because I went out to hire him way early on.
Uh
He
huh.
was really, really expensive,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and he was booked out so long. And I was looking at it when I hired him. He was like, "You need a whole new logo, and you got to pay for the wrap, and we're
Yep.
6 months out or something."
Yep. Yep.
So we just kind of tried to
Their
apply his principles.
their wait time now, I think, is faster because I found out about them, I think, in like 2019 or something, and I think, yeah, their wait time was like 6 months to a year even. But now they've done some pretty substantial growth. I think Tommy's invested into them, and so that's helped. They're growing pretty rapidly. So they brought on some new artists and new designers and stuff like that to kind of get you through the process quicker. It's still typically a 6 month process, 8 month process. I think they have a way you can expedite it a little bit, but even that still keeps you probably around 6 months. So it's definitely a time investment along with the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't speed up. So did they change your name and everything? Like they come up with a name, they come up with everything?
So typically you kind of go in, you kind of tell them what you're looking for. You want something fun, you want something catchy, sticky, and then they'll ask you, okay, do you want a mascot? Do you don't want a mascot? Things like that. And then they'll, once you kind of have that first initial discovery call, they will then come up. They'll probably give you 5 or 6 names that you can choose from. And then once you choose the name, then they'll kind of start the artwork process. So if that's going to be a mascot, then they'll render you 3 or 4 different versions of a whale or whatever. What is yours, a lizard or
It's a frog?
Frog. So a frog, whatever. They give you 4 or 5 different renderings. You know, if it's standing up, squatting, is it smiling, whatever, right? Does it have a tool in its hand? And then you can kind of pick from there. And then so you basically lock in the name, then you'll lock in the artwork. And then once that's done, then they got to go and do like all the final renderings and stuff like that. But they'll help you through the whole process, though.
Yeah. When you think about it all, you really can't get it done faster than 6 months. When they're
Probably
doing
not.
a whole rebrand,
Yeah, probably
there's
not.
so much thought that goes into it. You don't want it done.
No, you and you know, and everything. They'll help you with you know, if you don't have any core values or things like that, they can help you with that as well. So it's almost full turnkey, depending on how deep you want to get into it. And then they also have where you can do what was I going to say? I don't know, but it's basically it's pretty much turnkey.
And you're getting a website and everything through them, aren't you?
So you can do that. Was something that later on we thought about it, but we were already working with another website builder. So, but they do work with a builder, a website builder, and so they'll write the copy, I think, and then they turn it over to the website builder. Which, if you're using them in hindsight, that's probably the best route to take, simply because they're going to capture the design exactly how they created it for you. Versus you use another provider, they may struggle with the brand of actually creating the artwork and stuff like that to put it on your website, which is what we went through. So our website build should have been 90 days. It took about 7 or 8 months. It was a long process, simply because of the design. They couldn't capture the design exactly how we were envisioning it. And so in hindsight, I'd say, if you can use Dan and the team to kind of go through the website build, do that too.
Did they? Yeah. I think I looked at them. I get hesitant with builders when they start limiting pages. Like sometimes they're like, oh, you get 5 city pages, 7 city pages, 4 service pages. And then I'm like, I'm out because I want all the city pages. You got to get all of
it, yeah.
So then, if I'm spending $15,000 on a website, but I get 7 city pages, no thanks.
Yeah, that was kind of what ended up happening with us too on our website build. Was basically we ended up getting basically, I think it may have been 20 some odd pages, but some kind of way, I guess on their end, there was no like real content writing involved unless you were part of the SEO. And so we did start the SEO strategy, but with the design taking so long, we ended up paying probably 4, 5, 6 months of SEO without it actually doing anything, because there was no website up. So there's definitely websites can get expensive. I'm probably actually taking over a lot of my own website stuff right now going into the winter, where I'll do a lot of the copywriting myself and things like that. Because nowadays you got ChatGPT. ChatGPT will help you with a lot of stuff if you get really good at the prompting. So I've gotten pretty decent at the prompting, and that's really how you get the real content that you want, that'll actually do the things that you're asking for, instead of just saying, write me something. You got to really prompt it, and then it'll spit something out nice for you.
Yeah. Is it a WordPress website that y'all doing?
Yeah, it was a WordPress. I believe originally they were building it on another platform. And we then about I guess halfway in, several months in, we ended up pulling it. And then they kind of got a little bit more act right in them. And so when we gave it back to them, we made sure that they were then going to build it on a WordPress. So now I'm in the process now of having them turn it back over to me and put it back on GoDaddy for now. And then I'll start uploading whatever I need to. And then eventually I may find another company to work with as far as SEO.
Yeah.
But SEO is like, it's a jungle in itself. And, it's a lot of this where they cover it. They don't tell you everything behind the scenes. And it's like, they're doing this, but they're not doing this.
An SEO agency, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure,
and you're like, you think you're ranking for something, but you may be ranking for something, but you're not ranking for something that people are searching for. So it's like all those types of things. You end up. That's why I think so many people get frustrated with SEO. It's like you almost have to learn it yourself.
Yeah.
And then once it becomes too much, you can pass it on. But once you know how the right questions to ask and things like that, and like what's really needed, all the service pages, the blog, stuff like that, then I think it can really be a game changer for you.
Yeah. If you're doing on WordPress, there's a plugin called Yoast,
Okay.
and that'll tell you everything you really need. I would say it'll get you like 80 or 90% of the way there, because you put in the keywords that you want each page to rank for. So your sprinkler repair Fort Worth, that page, you put that in as, I want this page to rank for those keywords, and then it'll give you a checklist
Okay.
of this is what you need to do on this page to get it
Gotcha.
to rank for that keyword.
Okay.
And then you just go through and start making changes.
Yeah.
And it'll give you like real simple, like a red check mark, a yellow check mark, a green check mark for
Okay.
each of the checklists.
I'll
And
look
that's
into
what I
that.
did for
Yeah.
years.
I'll
And
look
so
into that for sure.
that was a
Sure
good one.
will. Yes. I think too. Like, I guess it's just conversations that people don't tend to have when it comes to the SEO. We just keep trying and go to a different agency, and it's always the same thing. And then you end up just getting frustrated, and then you just go all to start paying for ads and stuff like that instead of, because SEO to me is probably the better it's a longer play, but once you're ranked, you're good. But it's like it's getting ranked that takes the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a while. At least you own your website though, because we paid, I think, 2, maybe 3 different companies for SEO plus a website, and then when we stopped paying them, they just yanked the website.
They take the website from you, yeah. So that's a big thing for anybody that's building a website, to make sure you own it. You still will have to sometimes jump through the hoops a little bit since they're hosting it for you, maybe. But typically, if you're working with a reputable company, they'll transfer it over pretty good for you once you ask for that. But yeah, they will if you build it and it's in the contract that they own it. Yeah, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Out of luck.
Y'all aren't doing anything on Google right now.
No, we're not doing anything on Google. The plan was to do Google, and then maybe not a lot, but I think we have the LSA and things like that set up. Just haven't turned it on. And then a lot of it was simply really just waiting for our website to be done. It's been a time suck, and it's been frustrating. But I think once I'm pulling it back, should be back over to me by the end of this week. I'm hoping, unless they just kind of draw it out. But once that's done, I already got tons and tons of content and copy written already.
Yeah.
I just gotta get it back onto us so I can start uploading it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done a bunch of blogs and stuff.
You still do those blogs?
I still do some. I find with blogs though, I forget this lady. Something. There's a real. She's real famous in the SEO world, but she talked about not writing blogs for the sake of writing blogs. Like the whole point is to write something that people want to read, and that's actually going to get traction. Because before I was making lists of like, I got 300 blog topics. I'm just going to pump content.
Right.
But, if you write all those blogs and they never get clicks, they're not helping. So then I started kind of thinking like, all right, well, what do people want? What's useful? And I'm just going to focus on maybe like 30 topics, smaller amount.
Yeah.
and pump those out, get those just a lot of traffic on a smaller amount.
Yeah, you got to niche it down. And typically with the blogs, right now anyway, they are, I guess Google likes them better than keywords. So anybody kind of starting up a website or they're going to handle it themselves, is like, for whatever reason right now, Google likes the blogs better than, I guess because it's value-based writing or whatever. So don't not write your keywords pages if you're doing that. But just maybe for the next, until they make another change, focus on the blogs first and then still build your keyword pages out. That's just something that I learned in the last, month, what I've been trying to kind of really ramp up my knowledge on SEO. But yeah, if you talk to any of the SEO people, though, most of them will tell you that blogs is where it's at right now.
Yeah, I think it's those long tail keywords instead of
Yeah.
just like sprinkler repair. It's how do I replace a sprinkler? It's that long keyword.
You're almost doing it like a FAQ basically,
Yeah.
and then write out the content around that because people are searching like, why is my sprinkler not working? That's your like long tail or whatever, and then you go in there and plug in a few different keywords and secondary keywords or whatever, and then kind of write the content around that, answering that question, so it'll pull you to the top.
Yeah.
One thing I'm gonna do also is start doing basically FAQs, but in like short form video. So like, why is my sprinkler system not working? Here's the answer, but as a video, because Google likes that kind of stuff too. So you just gotta go into like all the different angles of whatever, see whatever kind of hits. But as long as you're doing it for a keyword or for a FAQ that people are searching for, then you should start to get that traction because Google likes video. It likes long tail, value driven content. So you just kind of go. You got to play Google's game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the AI, Google switching over to this AI search, that's going to change because the AI generated search results are pulling from somewhere, pulling from all these websites that are providing all this content.
Yes, I think too, if you're writing your own copy, now they call it like snippet friendly or whatever because they like the snippets, so they want to pull the answer up fast. So snippet friendly. You got to know what your H1, H2, H3, and then you need a meta title, a meta description. A lot of that stuff's on the back end, but like, anybody watching that's kind of trying to figure out your SEO, like go look that stuff up and it'll help you out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yoast will help you with that stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to look into Yoast myself. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good plugin for WordPress. Anybody running WordPress. Yeah. There's a ton of stuff to it. I think people get, you got to get out of the just fixing the leaks, and start thinking about all this back end stuff to really start dominating. Because there's a bunch of people just sitting around thinking of nothing but this all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think so for me in the sprinkler world anyway, I try to make it a point not to learn too much of the labor side of it, simply because if I do, I know I'll be back in the truck like, I'm just gonna go fix it myself, or I'm gonna go check it myself. So I know the necessities of it, the basics of it, but then I just try to work with my guys that I bring in to do the labor part of it. We still manage the quality control. We still manage the interaction with the client and things like that. But we bring them in when we sell a job, and then they come in and take care of it for us. Versus before, when we did lawn maintenance, everything was in house. So they would come to our shop, pick up our truck, use our equipment, go knock out their list, and then come back and drop it off and go home. And so over the years, my wife has always said, you got to get off the truck, da da da. And it's like, but I know how to do this. I like pushing the lawnmower, right? I want to get out there and get that done. But you're not focusing on the growth of the business when you're pushing the mower, you're gluing the PVC and stuff like that. You can have a lot of great ideas, like oh man, if I wasn't doing this PVC, if I wasn't weed eating right now, I could be doing this. And then when you get home, you're like, I'm tired, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But all day you're coming up with all these genius ideas, but you never get the opportunity to implement it, because by the time you get home, after cutting 40 houses or whatever, you're pooped. So that's it's like which one do you do? And at the end of the day, you got to do the business over the labor.
Yeah, no doubt. You gotta shift your focus.
Mm-hmm. Not always easy. Not always
I
easy.
can count on one hand how many times you've been out there with us. One hand.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe 6 times. We'll put this out there. We'll give you some credit.
Add the extra one just in case.
Yeah.
Well, we can count. I'll count it on 2 hands. Make you feel better.
There you go.
No, that probably did help us out. I mean, I was out there mowing all the time, but once we switched to irrigation,
Stayed out of the way.
I was never out there.
Yeah. That's pretty much the route, like, because when the whole rebrand came along simply because we were gonna go down to 3 services, 1 to 3 services, and then so we did a market analysis, things like that. Ended up being irrigation was one of the top ones that we were looking into, and so once we decided on irrigation, then we just tied in French drains and sod to that. Might not even do that much sod, honestly, but sometimes it just all works together. But mainly irrigation and French drains will probably be the top one. But as far as like digital presence, it'll just be those 3 services. Once we decided on those, that's when we're like, okay, let's go ahead. Now's an opportunity for us to go ahead and rebrand, find something sticky. We went to a couple seminars earlier in the year. I knew 5 years ago that I'd work with Dan eventually, but I had to work my wife up and work up to that. So in 23, we went to one early on in the year. She was like, okay, that makes sense. And then I think we went to an event later in the year. I think it was Victor Rancourt earlier in the year. And then later that year, we went to Tommy Mello. And Dan was at both. And so by the time she heard it the second time, she was like, okay, I think we're going to do this. And so that's kind of how it happened.
I would love to know, just real quick, how Tommy Mello's events are. Because I love Tommy Mello. I always listen to his podcast. But I'm just afraid of going to events and it just being all motivational. Like, I don't need motivation. So I don't like... I want substance.
I think just in general with the seminar world, I think they're now starting to understand that people want value now. They don't need them. With social media now, you can find motivation all day long.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're going to an event, you want the nitty gritty. Like, let's talk about certain things that I can implement as soon as I go home. So I think a lot of the seminars are getting more into that. And then a lot of it too is when you go there, you got to network with the people also that are in the room. It's not always the people at the front or on the stage. Sometimes it's people in the room, and then you reach out to them after that meeting, and they'll help you as far as like sending you what the numbers look like or what they're doing for marketing and things like that. But a lot of times, if it's in your neck of the woods, people are like, no, it's competition. I don't want to tell you anything. But you can find people from all over the world or country anyway. And they're more willing to help you since sometimes you're not necessarily in their industry specific, because Tommy's more garage doors, but they have a lot of HVAC guys show up. They have some landscapers show up, so they're pretty good. And I think he's throwing a couple a year now, and he's got a coaching program too. I think you can sign up for now. So, but there's so much good stuff just on this podcast.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So. It just really depends on if you just want to kind of go sit in the room or just continue to listen to it on the podcast. Because at the end of the day, it's the implementation anyway.
It's all the implementation.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it, and that's what Tommy always said. He can give all the secrets away, but
Yeah.
only a few people are going to implement the ideas.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the one. I think once people get to that notion, it's like I think then people will be that much more willing to open up. It's like, you can tell me about Yoast right now, and if I don't go home and do nothing with it, it didn't matter.
Yeah. No.
And most people won't. It's like, what was the website? And then I forget what the website. I never text you and ask you for it again. I never go look for it. So that's really where I think the people that start to win is because they take it and then they implement it. And I think that's what Tommy talks about a lot. It's like he's an implementer. Like as soon as he gets it, he's like back to his team or whatever. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna try this. And most of us get like paralysis. Because most of the time it's just us. So it's like, dang, I don't got time to do it's too many ideas, and then you get like in a
People get scared to change.
you get scared to change, scared to pivot. Because I tell you, if something's not working, it's not working. Like, switch it, like do it. Or if something sucks, like don't do it again.
Yeah.
if it loses you money, figure out how not to do that again. So for us early on, especially in the mowing world, everybody was cash and check. And so I'd say the first year or so, maybe 2 years, you'd lose anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 just from people not paying you. They forgot to leave a check or whatever, and then you're so busy running around cutting all the yards, you forget to go back. There's no way to collect it, and so eventually we went to they got credit card on file, right, and then they have to pay. They would pay 30 days at the end of the month, which is good. That helps you a lot. And then eventually we went to you pay up front for the 30 days, and people were like, "No, nobody's gonna do that. That's crazy. Like we never done that. We never heard of that." And it's like, just do it. It's your customer. It's your business. Charge up front, and if they don't pay, guess what? You have no collection. You didn't mow, right? You didn't mow anything. So problem solved right there. Your collections go out at the door if you just charge up front.
Especially in mowing, it's such a low price. There's so many people. Like, who cares?
Yep.
Who cares if they don't want to pay?
That's it. So you just got to kind of build your business the way you want to build it. And sometimes that is going against the grain. But I mean, usually when you go against the grain, you're probably going to do a little bit better than everybody else anyway, because you're just doing stuff differently.
It's so easy for people to fall in a comfort bubble.
Yeah. Comfort is hard because especially too if you, so in my case, when I first started mowing, I went from like 0 to 200 clients in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, and then, I was, in the networking world, they have like these coaching every week or whatever, and they'll talk about different things. And so I think the last couple of weeks has been on like, being a person of impact or your personal growth and your business growth. And so I tell people like that second or third year, instead of looking up, I'm more looking around. And so when you're looking around, it's like, well, I got a house and, I got the car and, everything's good and it's cash flowing or whatever. So you get in that content, you get content, right? It's like you forget to continue to grow and move up. So I try to remind people, it's like, don't look around. You got to look up. Who's doing better than you? Who's moving ahead? Because you're going to get left behind. You're just like, well, I'm just comparing myself to, friends or family, right? That's the comparison game is a suck hole anyway. So, right, you got to get past that. But I always look up and figure out, okay, these guys are doing this. These guys over there are doing that. How can I implement that to continue to grow? Because otherwise you will get like, man, we're doing decent. The bills are paid and stuff like that. And, you can take a little trip if you want to. But at the end of the day, with mowing especially, it's literally just cash flow. It's very hard to.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's very hard to actually make a hefty. Yeah, it's literally cash flow, man. You can cash flow quite a bit, but it's running in and out. It's just running in and out like water, because you got to maintenance on equipment and all that.
I figured that out early on when I started running the numbers after 2 seasons, and I was like, this doesn't seem like I got $100,000 in equipment.
Yeah,
and we're charging $30 a yard or whatever. Like I'm gonna 4 people and plus all the 4 people. Like this doesn't really make sense. Yeah, this ain't making sense. I gotta pit. And I mean, if you don't want to grow, that's fine. But the people that do want to grow can't be reluctant to change. And a lot of people seem to be. You gotta. And that's when I figured that out. I dropped everybody. Just texted everybody. Like, we ain't mowing no more. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're out. Done.
Well, I think that's like you get to that point where it's like you've done it for so long or whatever. It's hard to, like you said, make that change. Where it's like like you said, just drop them and go.
You got 2 mindsets. Are you working to take care of yourself, or are you working to build a business?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're just working for yourself, then you don't have to do anything.
Yep.
But if you're trying to build a business, build a legacy, a brand, you have to change.
That's very true. Yep. Very true. And one thing I tell people too is like, if you would, because people are afraid to either raise their prices or whatever, right? And it's like if you raise your prices, just tomorrow you wake up and you raise your prices, that alone will automatically force you to level up your service. People don't want to level up their service, or they don't want to raise their prices, and it's like, okay, well, just raise your prices and you'll be forced to level up your service, because now you're going to start getting a whole lot more no's. And then you start thinking, okay, man, I'm getting so many no's. And just tell yourself, okay, if I can't lower my prices, I can't do it. Nothing I can do. I can't lower my prices. What can I do different? Well, you're gonna start doing all kind of stuff differently on the service aspect of it. Like, how do I show up to the house? Like, what text messages am I sending? All these things you start to pivot and change, and now your service has come up, so customers in their mind can start to justify your pricing now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. We just did a. What was it? 71% are more worried about your reputation than they are anything else.
Oh yeah, the service titan survey that they
Yeah.
did on home service.
Yeah.
71% are more worried about reputation. Then the next thing was like quality.
As in the customer.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
customer.
the price was like the 5th or 6th thing out of eight or 9.
It's very low. It's
Yeah,
very low.
The price has nothing to do with it. You just got the value has to match, and that's it.
Yeah, it's how you show up. And a lot of times, how you show up to the customer, there can be 3, 4, 5, 6 touches before you ever get to their house. From a text message, from the time they talk to you on the phone, they can get a text message, just like a recap of their call. You're scheduled this date. A bio text of the tech coming to the house, a video of the tech coming to the house. Like, there's so many different touch points that you can create. It's just creating them, right?
Yeah.
So we liked the bio when I heard about that, maybe earlier this year or last year. That's just a picture of your tech, family, dog, whatever they have, smiling, and you send that to the customer, just saying, hey, it's Robert, I'm on the way, about 30 minutes out. And then I heard another guy, I think it was Sam Wakefield, and he mentioned doing that same concept. Send the bio still with the picture, but also you can send a video.
Mm-hmm.
So in that bio, it just says, hey, this is me, here's a picture. If you'll watch this quick video also, and just send them a link, and then it just says, hey, it's Robert on the way, super excited to see you, and in their case, they have to like move stuff out of the garage or whatever. So it's like, if you could just have, this and this slid back for me, and it's like, by the time I get to the house, customers out there, the car's bagged out of the garage, everything's out of the way. It's like, it's just those small things. They're small in our mind, right? But it's like, it's big to the customer.
I've heard the video. I've heard of. So we do a bio. So I've heard of that, and then I've heard the service manager sending a video. So it's like, it'll be like me or him or something, saying, just doing the same thing. Hey, it's the service manager. Robert's coming out today. If you have any issues, you can reach out to him or me. Just sending a quick video, send that to them.
Yeah.
Just doing all that stuff to level up the service.
Yeah, you honestly can play with it any kind of way you want to play with it. It's just another touch to the customer. It's just a different level of service. Nobody else did that.
Yeah.
So it makes it personal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They know who's coming. They heard your voice. They seen your face. They know you're a family guy or whatever. All that's just it's just brownie points on top of it.
Yeah, one thing Tommy does, I always thought about doing it, but I never thought. He says he gets all of his guys to call and ask the customer if they want a cup of coffee or something. He'll be like, "Hey, I'm stopping at the gas. I'm 15 minutes away. I'm gonna stop at the gas station. You want a cup of coffee or something to drink before I come?" And he said, most of them say no.
Most of them say no.
But if they say yes, company card, we'll buy them a drink.
Yeah,
and show up with it.
Show up with the drink. Yeah, we did in the past. Too, where we would just ask them on the discovery call, hey, this might be a weird question, but what's your favorite drink? And then just show up with the drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So we've done that too in the past. But like Tommy said, most people will tell you no, but what I did learn also was when you do get to the house and the customer offers you a drink, always take it.
Yeah.
Always take it. Yeah. No, because typically we're like, no, I'm not thirsty, but the way I think it was Joe Crisera, but he mentioned like, you're taking that away from the customer now. They want to serve you while you're on their property or at their house. Because if you go to your friend's house, they're offering you a drink or whatever, then you always say yeah. So why not allow the customer to serve you in that same way while you're serving them? Basically, was the way he put it. So it's like always accept their drink, Coke, water, Gatorade, whatever. And let them bring it to you because that helps them helps them, I guess, feel comfortable in their own house while you're the weirdo there at the house working.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So just kind of helping them feel good about you while you're there.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that because really favors are like just as much about the person doing the favor.
Yeah,
as they are.
Yeah, because it's I think it's also Joe. He talks about how a customer will say something and you're like, no, I do this for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You just completely throw out their appreciation for what they're saying. Like, thank you so much, Jacob, for doing this and this. And you're like, no, I do it for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like you just crushed their soul,
Yeah, you did.
Instead, he's like, tell them, hey, Jacob, I really appreciate you telling me that. That makes me feel great today that I was able to serve you and make you feel good. Like it's all in the verbiage. Like it's a whole lot that you can. We don't think about it because we're just like, I'm just trying to get this job done and get to the next one. Like I don't want, why is the customer coming to talk to me right now?
Yeah,
But
I
it's
see
like
that.
you gotta mentally prepare yourself to like serve and have a conversation with the customer. They want to walk and follow you, let them walk and follow you.
I see that so many people are scared to have the customer do the inspection with them, watch them work. I like them when they do the inspection.
Yeah.
I want them to do the inspection.
Yeah.
With
Now
them.
they know everything that's going on.
Yeah, now we can educate them. We can walk through. Hey, this is why this area of your line doesn't look as good as these other areas. You're getting poor coverage.
Yeah.
This half of your system's system's misting. Look at how much water is just blowing off in the wind.
Right.
Look how we can fix this.
Yeah.
Let's educate while we're doing.
Yeah.
I would much rather every customer walk through the inspection with us.
Right. I tell people too, it's like, when you're on a site, put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It might not be for the customer that's at the home. It could be for the neighbor across the street watching it through the blinds. But put on a show, man. Make sure you look good. You're clean. In the mowing case, make sure you mowing everything's good. You're weed eating nice and fast, and everything. Like, oh man, this guy's like super good. Like, I'm gonna call them. So you're putting on a show for the whoever's watching, or just have that mentality. And again, your level of work increases because you're like, man, I think just pretend they're watching, even if they're not watching. It's like, man, I'm putting on a show for these people over here.
Yeah.
And then you just get better and better at your job because you're almost tricking yourself to think like, I'm the best in the world at this. Like they're getting the privilege of watching me today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're automatically like trying to get better and better at your job to put that show on for the people that are watching or not watching.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, just changing the mentality. Who cares if they watch? Let them watch.
Let them watch, man. Welcome them. Hey.
Yeah, come on. Get the whole street over here.
Yeah.
Come watch.
Come watch it. Yeah. So I saw how you pull up and how you show up, and then and you serve the clients, and a lot of people are like, people don't tip, and it's like, man, people tip. For the tip, like if you're the tech on the job site, you should act like a server at a restaurant. You're there for the tip today.
Yeah.
Like your tip could be bigger than your paycheck today.
Yeah.
I've had clients tip $100, $200.
The biggest one we got was Michael got $600 tip one time.
Just like that.
That's all I ever wants, but it's it's like.
But that's a story to tell, and it's like if you take that mentality every time you show up to a house, like how am I showing up for this customer? How am I talking to them? How am I serving them? Asking if there's anything else I can do for them. Going that extra mile. By the time they're done, time you get in the truck, they're like, here it is. Yeah. Or you get the neighbor coming on, man, I've never seen nobody work this hard before. Like you've been here all day. That's the neighbors now are so it all plays into it. So treat every site that you go to and just, you put on a show and you're working for a tip.
Yeah. Yeah, people tip quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's all on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all on you.
Yeah, no doubt. And so you are doing how does it work having like a separate salesman from the person that does the work?
So, and that was the kind of, I think that's what you mentioned when I had asked the question in that Facebook group that time, but it's basically, you can send out, ultimately you want to have a tech that almost follows right behind the salesperson. So let's say they have 4 or 5 stops that day, sales guy goes out, he gets it sold, and then your tech is like kind of right behind him. Maybe he's on a job in the morning, but as soon as that one sells, he can come in behind it. And so ultimately that'll be the goal, unless you have a guy that's really good as a sales tech. The only reason I personally don't like the sales tech model is because eventually it caps you as a tech, because you can only do the work that you sell. So if you want to go and sell more or make more money, you'll always be capped at the amount of work that you can actually do on the truck. But other than that, if you have a really good sales guy that can sell and do the work, that's a great concept. I just like the they call it, I think in the HVAC world, they call it the comfort advisor.
Mm.
So we will eventually call ours a water conservation advisor. So,
Yeah.
you can create whatever name you want, but it's basically they go in, they're the one that spends the time with the customer. Because in most cases, the labor tech doesn't necessarily want to talk to the customer. They don't want to sell anything. They don't want to spend that time. They're like, oh, I need to fix this. Here it is. I'm gone. As a sales tech or a salesperson would go in and spend the time and educate the client and do the presentation, build that value with the customer, and then close it, and then they're going to the next one. Because a lot of people will be like, well, the customer wants the person that sold the job to do the work. Not necessarily true. The customer just wants the work done, and they want the work done right. And it's all in how you present as the salesperson when you show up. Hey, I'm Robert. Going to be doing the site visit with you today. We're going to walk the property. I've got my. If the tech comes, in some cases your it'd be ideal if your sales guy would be an irrigator. But if not, your licensed tech or whoever is on site with them while they're there, and then they kind of do the system check, and the sales guy is just walking the customer around the property, showing them this is what we're checking, this is why we're checking it, and they're the conversation piece. And you allow your labor tech to then do what he needs to do and check your system. He comes back to you, brings it to you, tells you everything that needs to be done. You write up the estimate, you go into the home, you talk to the client. Because ideally, just like in HVAC, you want to tap on the door and you want to go into the home with the client, not just sell them in the garage or whatever. You want to be able to walk into the home, have your booties. Same concept that HVAC does, because that's the only way that we'll ever get to their level anyway, is if we do the things that they do. So knock on the door, introduce yourself, have your tablet with you, have maybe a little presentation of this is who we are, this is a little bit of history about the company, a little bit about yourself personally as the salesperson, what you're there to do today, and then about kind of set the expectations, and then allow them to the customers kind of following along. They understand the process now, and they can either come outside with you when it's time to do the inspection. They can stay inside, and you let them know we're going to go out now and check the system. Then I'll get some options written up for you, and I'll come back in and present them to you. And you can tell me yes or no, and we can move on from there.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we thought about doing that. Like
Quite a few times.
Yeah, we thought there's so many different ways. We just have the technicians sell the job and they do it. I mean, you could have somebody who's really good at sales with a helper.
Yep.
And that will increase productivity. Or you can split them up. I mean, y'all been running it split up. It's working okay?
Yeah, so it works pretty good. Typically, myself, my wife, or we've had a salesperson in the past. We'll go to the home and we'll bring in our contractor with us. So they're on site. We get there maybe 10 minutes or so before them. That way we can go into the home, have our conversation. By the time they pull up, we're coming out of the house. We're like, hey, okay, this is what we're doing. This is a problem the customer's having. They check the system, let us know what's going on with the system. We flag everything, write up some options for the client, and then we go back into the home and then sell the client that way. Now, if you have your team is in house, then obviously they would handle that for you. But as running the sub model, we just have our sub pull up to the home with us about 5 or 10 minutes after we show up, and then we get everything done in the home. We come out, they do the walkthrough, flag everything, and then we build the options and go back in the home and sell it.
How does it work if the sub can't be there on the same day? Is it still fine? Or?
Yeah, so it's still fine. So usually, we try to we give ourselves about 2 days in advance. So let's say a customer calls on Monday, we won't schedule out the job to go do the system check until Wednesday. That way, we make sure that we're able to contact our sub, make sure he's on route, make sure he's not got anything else locked in, and then that way he's good to go. And then if one of them can't show up or something, we have 4 or 5 guys that we work with. So we'll call somebody else up, and then we just will delay the time by an hour or two typically we have a 4-hour window that we're going to show up anyway. So let's say we try to get there from the 11 to 3 window. We'll try to get there between 11 and 12. If our guy, for whatever reason, says, man, I can't make it then, we still have that window.
Mm-hmm.
So no need to panic yet. Once you get to maybe like that 3 o'clock window, then you're like, okay, wait, I'm going to have to reschedule the customer. But if the window's big enough, typically, guys like, man, if something happened or whatever, I can't make it. Then you've got time to get one of your other guys out there. And then typically it's all in the way you set the expectation with the client as well. So that way they know if anything changes, we're going to let you know first. You'll know. As soon as we know, you'll know. Or if there happens to be, there might be a little bit of delay and the customer may be a little bit more particular. Definitely want to let them know first because they might be a little bit they might have a tighter schedule or something. And then we always let them know we're going to text you 30 minutes before we arrive anyway to give you that window so you're not standing around waiting for us all day.
Yeah.
And then usually your subs, if you find the right ones, they'll show up for you first anyway because you treat them right. You know what I mean?
So I got a question.
Yeah.
In your experience working the 4-hour windows, what's worked better for you, or what do you think would work better? Would you rather, like, say the technician's not going to make the window? Would you rather reschedule that client, or would you rather, let's say the technician calls you and says, hey, something happened, I'm going to be 30, 45 minutes, I'm going to be late. Would you rather reschedule the customer and reset it on a different day, or would you rather tell the customer, hey, my guy's running late, we're going to be there at this time?
Initially, I'd rather let the customer know we're running late.
Okay, so you'd rather just tell them we're running late and then try to keep it on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Simply because now if I'd say if it was in-house, that answer might change. But since we do the sub model, I need to make sure that they are good to go that day. And so I'd rather tell the customer we are going to be 30 minutes or 45 minutes late. And typically with that too, you hit your guy that's coming up first thing in the morning, 2 hours before it's time to be there. It's like, hey, are we still good? Hey, are we still good? Because you want to give the customer enough time and give yourself enough time to say, okay, wait, he's behind. So you want to, within that window, when you don't want to text the customer 5 minutes before that you're supposed to be there, and it's like, oh, we're actually an hour behind. You'd much rather be able to text them at 12. We're gonna be there closer to that 2 o'clock mark. That's why you have that window. So it's like we're gonna try to get there at 11. Once 11 hits and we know it's gonna be closer to 3, shoot the customer a text. Hey, Miss Jones, it looks like we're gonna be closer to 3 today.
Yeah, I would just make questioning more in the sense of what do you want the customer to feel like? Would you rather them have the mindset that you're running late, or would you rather reset the whole scenario to a different day to keep the expectation?
I think that's a good question. Right now,
And even so, is there a time window where you do automatically in your head think, okay, that's too late, we just need to?
Yeah, so we have 3 windows. So there's a 8 to 11, 11 to or 12 to 3, and then 3 to 6. And so typically, if you call the client within enough time, in most cases they're okay, and you can ask them too. It's like, hey, we can either come still today, or we can reschedule for the next day, which is this day. I think it's just a matter of how you set the expectation and talk with the customer on that. Certain customers, just from the first initial conversation, we're not rescheduling. Like, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Most people can work, or you can they'll give you a little bit of grace, especially if you're doing all the extra touch points with the client as well. So they really already want to work with you. So that's where you build yourself some grace within, and then try to stay within your time window. But if anything changes, try to let the client know as quickly as possible what that looks like. And again, if I was doing it in house, I probably would. My answer might be different, because I do like to stay within, like, I don't like to like mess up the schedule when it like,
Yeah,
if it's set, I want to make sure we're there.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. Do you have a time frame where you're like, okay, he's gonna be 45 minutes late?
Yeah.
No, we just need to.
Um,
Is there like a barrier, like a line?
right. I'd say that line would probably be an hour.
Because there's nothing worse when your internet goes down your house and you call AT&T or Spectrum or whoever you have,
Yep.
and they say, "Oh, technician will be there between 8 and 10," and then 10 rolls around, you get another text. Well, he's running late. He won't be there till 1 to 3.
Yep.
And then he shows up at 3:45 on that window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's just a that's a lack of like the office being on top of it.
It
You
is,
know what I
but
mean?
in the sense of being the customer, at some point you would have rather just said, "Okay, well, we can't get here between the first window. Would you like the same window on another day?"
Yeah, I think if you ask them that up front, hey, we can be, we're going to be about this amount of time late, or we have this next day available. Which one works best for you? And then see what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, it's ultimately it's their schedule that you're messing up. Do they have the time to do it another day, or are they already home? Did they already take off? So a lot of that plays into that. Which is where you really have to have the conversations of with your subs, or even if they're in house, it's like, guys, we got to make this. Like, what's up? Whereas where I struggle with, when they are in house, because it's like, if we're gonna miss this, I got to jump in this truck and go do it now, because it's like we don't want to mess this up. Because at the end of the day, the sales is what's keeping the doors open.
Yeah, and see that brings into a funny point. We're talking about scheduling and customer availability and stuff, and I personally didn't like it either. But looking at the whole COVID-19 era, it really changed the home services industry a lot, because it put a lot of people remote.
Sure did.
And a lot of people are still remote to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And whereas most people that we would normally have dealt with would have been working, they had to take a day off. Now they're like, well, I work from home, so whenever you want to be there.
Right.
It as many bad things that come with it, that was one thing that came that just
It was a quick shift. And like you say, it's still going on today. It's like, even like if let's say we go canvass a neighborhood 5 years ago, there's no cars in the driveway. Now it's like everybody's home.
Yeah.
It's 2:00 in the afternoon, everybody's home. So it's just kind of like you pivot with that. But COVID-19 also kind of brought in a lot of like automations as well. So, customers before might have wanted to talk on the phone. Nobody really wants to talk on the phone anymore. They just want, how quick can you get out here? How quickly can you book it? If I don't have to talk to a person, great. I'm a big texter. So like, if I can book something via text, I'm for it all day. If I'm online on Google or something, and there's a option to text versus call, I'm texting. And I think a lot of people are kind of getting into that world. So a lot of us are afraid of like utilizing AI to answer the phones and do the chat bots and stuff like that. And it's like,
you're gonna have to.
It's just where the world's going.
And I think also too, there's other industries and other businesses that are kind of pushing people that way, because when you have to, if in the situations that you have to call a company, you're having to deal with automated phone directories, hitting the buttons, got to go where you need to go, or getting on the phone. So many people have a bad taste in their mouth getting on the phone with people that are just not friendly or can't answer their questions, and it just really starts to kind of dwindle that mindset to where, like you said, if there's an option to text and say book now, yes,
Yeah.
and then that doesn't see, and then that's another thing too, when people have to sit down and have a phone call. If they're in meetings or doing whatever they're doing, nobody wants to say, okay, I got to get on a call for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
People don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. And when we were doing the calls that way, a call would be about 10 minutes. By the time we ask them all the questions and things like that, it'd be like a 10-minute conversation. Now, if you're whoever's answering the phone is good, most clients they're going to be having a good conversation. But if it's kind of like just very mundane and they're like robotic, it's like, okay, how many questions you got to ask me? Like, this is taking forever.
So then the only thing that I don't like about not getting the phone calls is I think you lose a little bit of that personal touch with them, because you get a personal, when you have a good person on the phone, you get a personal connection with that person. You get to talk to them. They can hear the sound of your voice and stuff like that. How would you say that's changed a little bit? Because you don't get that personal out of text. You got to build it. You got to send videos and the bios and stuff like you're talking about.
Yep.
you got to build that relationship inside that text message.
Right, which is hard because you can't always relate. Like, okay, what does that exclamation point mean? Right, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that should have been a period. My bad. But I think it's just the way of the world now. It's like, don't if we think too much about it, because like we want to answer the phone, we want to build that relationship like you're talking about. It's like, but what does the customer want? What does the consumer want? And if majority of them are wanting, now they should still be able to talk to a person, but if majority of them want to be able to I think you should just have all the options: person, AI agent that answers the call, AI agent that does the text messages, and then when you're doing anything AI, some people, they can be built where it just automatically sounds like a human. I don't know if they're all the way there yet, but you can just say, hey, this is an AI agent. I can help you with this, this, and this. It's basically a discovery call. And then they'll answer any questions that you have. And then if they need to speak to a person, they can. But otherwise, by the time that agent is done with the conversation, it's sending them a booking link. And people just go there and book it. And then it pops up on your calendar. But I think it's just a matter of like the future's here, you know.
Time to embrace it.
Yeah, you just got to embrace it or get left behind. So there's a lot of platforms now where you can set up agents that'll answer the calls. They sound pretty good. We talked about Go High Level a little bit.
Yeah.
They have one that's probably, to me, I mean, it's the simplest one that I've seen that works. Like, you're talking about like 5 minutes of putting in a script, like, and it's trained.
That's crazy.
It's like, what what area do you service? It's in there. What are your hours of operations? I want to speak to a human. I want to speak to a human. Like, it does all of that. Within the time you upload your script.
And that's really all we need is just somebody to answer the phone, take a message, and we're going.
Especially if a human's still going to the home and they're selling it there, that's where the relationship is really going to get built. When the phone caller initially was like just an added bonus. So we may be losing that one, but that person that you send to the home, they still get that opportunity to really build that relationship. And that has to be intentional when they get there to the home. If they're not going there with the mindset of like, this is, kind of my list of questions that I'm going to ask the customer, not just from their issue, but like, how long you lived here, and those are kind of some of the basic questions, but like you can get a little bit more into detail to get the customer to open up to you a little bit more. And that conversation could be, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And then you kind of get into what they called you out there for. You told them a little bit about yourself. So that person, whoever's going to the home, really is the one now that has to take that upon themselves to build that relationship.
Well, and also too, if there's an AI booking agent in place, that removes the need for such an answering service on the weekends and at night.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
it'll be a cheaper one.
Absolutely,
because then they can book, and they can schedule all through the AI agent. And then your CSR comes in the next day, or dispatch sees it on the calendar.
Yeah. So if you have a call center, or like you said, after hours or something like that, it eliminates all of that. And then it shows up. It's set up to where it shows up automatically on your calendar. So it's there like as if somebody put it in for you.
Yeah, that's really the only thing I'd want to use AI for is after hours, because we have our CSRs training with Power Selling Pros. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yep.
And they are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, our booking rate was probably like 70%, like low 70s, and now it's 85.
Yeah.
They've really just taken it probably as high as I really, once you hit 85, it's like
right. Yeah, you're pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
If we can get 86, cool.
Yeah.
But 87, cool. But I'm happy at 85.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if an AI can do that, because we're battling objections on the phone. What the service call is, what we're going through. We're building value on the phone, and I don't know if AI can do that. But if AI can pick up a few,
it can capture some weekend calls versus call center saying, "Look, take a message and we'll call you back during business hours."
Right. The AI it's like it's like just like with ChatGPT, right? It's all in how you prompt it, it's how you train it. So when you really want to kind of get into the world of like battling the objections, you can do it just on a very basic scale. But when it comes to really like, trying to create that value, you probably would want to work with somebody like super skilled in doing like the workflows and things like that. Cause I think sometimes that's what you need to like really dial in the way it responds. But just from like a basic, the service call is, $50 or whatever, and the customer's like, no, I don't want to pay that. The AI can say, well, the reason the service call is because, X, Y, and Z. So it can do that for you just on a basic level. But I get what you're saying, where it's like a human can really kind of go deeper, whereas a agent would be more kind of like
It'd be easy to say no to.
Yeah. It's kind of low level. But yeah, they can be programmed out. Like if my mom called, she wouldn't know. She wouldn't know she was talking to an agent. Us younger people, we're like, I think I am. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that was an agent, but I think it was.
If it makes no mistakes, it would be hard.
Yeah.
As soon as they start getting a little skippy, then it's
right. Yeah. But I mean, the way they're, and it's only getting better. That's the thing. Yeah.
Another year. Or
yeah,
so.
It's only getting better. Like you won't really know. And I think too, it's just a matter of, it's kind of one of those things where you got to shift the mindset again, where it's like, okay, the whole goal at the end of the day is to book the call, and get to the house.
Yep.
And if it can do that, at that 85%, you're winning. Who cares?
Yeah,
right?
Who cares? If it can do it at 85, I don't care what it says.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's gonna ultimately it's gonna cut costs. I think when AI kind of came out, they were like, oh no, it's not gonna take anybody's job. It's gonna it's just gonna help. And I'm like,
it's gonna take.
Is it really? It's gonna take jobs.
It's gonna take the people at Jill's office jobs.
Exactly.
We were talking about with Garrett. All those after hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like
need those people.
They've got to be figuring out a way to pivot.
And they're not even like Jill's office has been the best we've used, but there's a few agents at Jill's office that we've had to call in about, like, hey, I don't want that guy answering my phone calls because he's told people we're closed at like Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon.
Right.
No, don't let him answer my calls.
Yeah. So it's like, I think you just got to grow with what's coming. Look at it as what's coming. Like HVAC's already doing it. And like I told you, like I feel like they're top of the food chain in home services. So, kind of see what they're doing and utilize it. Cause, like I think I mentioned, they have platforms now where you can, record the sales process in the home, and it goes back and coaches you on what to say when you said this. Real Voice is one. There's some other platforms.
Service Titan has releasing their own version of that soon.
Yeah, so it's like that's how can that be utilized in our world? Maybe not right now off the bat, but I'd say the next 6 months to a year, it should be able to transition into ours if it can already.
If you have Service Titan, you can. Yeah, you could do that right now.
I would assume so. So it's just one of them. I think it's one of them things where it's like it's the movies are here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're here now, and it's like, dang, if we don't pivot here, we'll become obsolete. Like people are gonna be to a point where it's like, now it's like, am I talking to a human? I want to talk to a robot. Maybe.
Yeah.
You don't sound like you want to help me, and I think that's part of that's really the whole thing anyway. It's like the human experience has been, customer service has gone so far down over the years, and people don't really want to help you. They don't really want to serve you. So customers are like, I mean, dang, that call sucked. So if they're already getting that feeling, and an AI agent can get them through the call much quicker, and it's like, okay, that was pretty simple and pretty easy. I'd much rather just do that than have to deal with somebody's attitude. Like, even if they didn't have an attitude, it's like, they sounded like they didn't want to help me. Like, I'm going to call somebody else now.
Yeah, that's perceived.
Yeah, it's perceived, so it's I don't know,
people are going to get left behind. There's still so many people just reluctant to embrace technology.
Yeah.
There's people that don't even want to embrace websites and Google.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I could steal names from companies that have no websites.
It's still.
Out there working, no website.
And because the big thing, I know a lot of people like their referrals and word of mouth and things like that's great. But at the end of the day, like how many people are referring you every single day if you're not doing something to supplement that? So networking is great, but people are going to Google to search too, or they're going to Facebook to search too. You need to be there so they can find you, and then obviously with your customers and your client base, build a good enough relationship where they will refer you. Or if you're doing any networking like we are and things like that. But ultimately, like, if you need to get a certain number of calls or leads in a week, sometimes you'd be hard pressed to do that just through word of mouth.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, at our level, we can't.
Yeah, it's like
We can't do word of mouth.
it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds cool. It's free calls, but it's like
totally organic.
You need
right? Yeah, it's like to me that's a myth. You know what I mean? It's like
if you need 50 jobs a day, or more, it's
right?
Like,
it's not.
You can't do that.
Yeah. You gotta pay to play, man.
And people will still get on there and say, "Well, don't pay for leads; it's a waste." But it's really not. If you know how to do it, know how to. Now, I would say Angie's leads, Angie or Home Advisor, that's a waste.
Right.
But, Google's not if you know how to play the game.
Right.
Facebook. Some people. Do y'all ever do Facebook or anything?
We did Facebook for about I think 3 months this year. It was more of a lead gen. A lot of them are kind of tire kickers. They do want the cheapest rate usually. But I've seen people kill it on Facebook.
I've seen it too, but I just don't. We've never made it work.
I mean, they're running like free estimates, everything, and it's like they just their goal is to get to the house.
Yeah.
And then they sell it, and it's really, I think in that case, Facebook, when they do it that way, they really are doing the numbers game. Because they spend a ton of money, but because they get so many of those to convert, it makes sense for them.
I could see that, I guess. I mean, if you're getting leads for $15 on Facebook or $20 and doing free estimates, eventually you will make money.
You'll get some. So I think that's how they do it. So it's like if I spend $10,000 a month on Facebook and I close one job at $30,000 when it's HVAC or whatever, they're like, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And us is like, $10,000 a month to Facebook, I'm biting my fingernails off.
Yeah, no.
It just really all comes down to what's your cost per acquisition. That's really all it comes down to. And we did a test. We tested it out. We made a tag in Service Titan for free service calls. So we would go through the call flow, tell everybody what the service call was. Anybody that said they didn't want to book and we couldn't overcome that objection, we would say, all right, let's waive it. We just did an experiment for like 2 months, maybe 6 weeks. We would mark a free service call and we would go out there just to book. We wanted to see. And I don't know, we probably booked. I mean, we was booking, We said, all right, we'll wait. We'll come out there for free.
Yep.
We book it.
Booking rate went up for sure.
Booking rate went up, and we started booking all those. We had a bunch of free service calls all over the schedule, and most of them didn't spend any money.
Yeah.
They just wanted estimates.
Yeah. That's the thing when it comes to free estimates. It's like sometimes we tell the customers even on the phone. It's like they're like, well, why would I pay for you guys to come out and walk around? And it's like, well, first, that's not what we're doing. But secondly, the service call honestly holds us accountable to you and you accountable to us. And a lot of people haven't heard it that way, but it's like it holds you accountable to us because you're going to show up now because you spent some money. If you come out for free, oh, I'm busy, go check the system, let me know, or email me a quote. If you pay, now you're like, okay, what are they doing? Like now you're paying more attention while we're here on the site. So it's like it holds you accountable and it holds us accountable to show up, and it holds you accountable to also show up. Free estimate, oh, I thought you were going to be here. No, I'm at the grocery store right now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? And so
they're out just doing whatever.
Yeah, so it's like we're considering running, free estimates for maybe to the end of the year. But I honestly don't like free estimates at all. It's like, even if it's $9, I'd rather pay something than, absolutely free.
Yeah.
So it's like you can give them a very discounted rate or whatever, but absolutely free is a hard sell because everybody's like, oh, it's free? Okay, come on. Check my system.
Yeah, they're not. I like the way you put it. And we were already telling the customers that we're waiving it. We have a threshold. We're waiving it. And, so I would listen to the calls and they're like, well, we're not planning on doing any work today. We just want an estimate. And
Right.
it's like, well, then you're going to have to pay for the.
Right.
If we come out there and spend an hour and you just want it, you're going to have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
We can't. You know, so, we tracked it all. A couple of those free did spend some money, but 95% did not.
Yeah.
So it was like, if you're already booking 85%, don't try to get the extra
Why do
5.
it? Right.
To,
Why do
Yeah,
it?
just
Yeah.
to have it, just to kill the conversion rate.
But
Yeah.
I could see, my point, if you did spend all that money on Facebook doing all free, you will get some money, but you're going to get a bunch of tire kickers on that.
Yeah, I think with Facebook, honestly, if you utilize it as a lead gen, then take all the leads that you get and then put them into your own service site or whatever, and then market to them just as a recurring thing. Later they might bite again but now they're biting because they need the service and they've seen you multiple times throughout the year, so you could use it for that because I mean, for a couple $100 on Facebook, you might get like 50 leads in a month, which is not bad, but majority of them are tire kickers.
Yeah.
So you have to take them then and put them into your own CRM and then remarket.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Google pay-per-click. We had to shut that off. I didn't tell you that. I just shut it off. I just got an email from our marketing agency. Our pay-per-click was at it fluctuates. A couple months ago, we did a report on here. It was $24 a click, then it went up to $30.
Yeah.
I just got an email, it jumped up to $70 a click.
Wow.
I just shut it down.
Yeah.
Because you're only converting 25%, so
Right.
multiple 70 times 4, $280 a customer.
Yep.
And it's like,
Hard
That's
to do.
steep. Yeah. It's
you
steep.
can't do that.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
No.
Steep.
Now you're measuring lifetime value.
Right.
How many customers out of 10 do you keep? How many are you actually selling to? And then out of the ones you sell to, how many are you keeping?
Right.
What's their lifetime? It gets too much at $70 a click.
Do y'all do any type of membership or maintenance plan, or is it just one and done?
No, we have a membership.
Okay, yeah, we've that's one thing we do want to run as a membership. How do y'all set your membership up? Ours was more along the lines of like a gym membership, just like $100 a year, $12 a month, or whatever, and then they'll get a priority service, discounted rate on repairs, things like that. Maybe a free one free annual checkup or whatever, but more along the lines of use it or lose it. Not a like maintenance package. How do you guys do it?
What do you mean, like use it or lose it?
So basically, you pay for the membership. So if you want that annual checkup within that year, you call and you can get it. But if you
I
don't,
see.
now, obviously, for us, we would call and be like, "Hey, you want to take advantage of this so we can get out to the home?" But that was more along the lines that we were planning to run it, because it's like a membership. You use it or lose it, and if you don't use it, then basically the way I think it's Billy from Billy Go Plumbing is the one that I heard the concept from. I know HVAC does a lot. They have a membership. They have maintenance plans. But his idea was basically run up your memberships, get for however many 1,000 whatever it is or more, and then you take that monthly or yearly that they pay you, and that's your marketing spend. So he's like 5,000 clients at $99 a year, and then I turn around and divide that by 12 and use it as my marketing dollars. So.
Yeah, that's not a bad way. Tommy talks about like 10% in marketing of your 10% of your annual revenue keeps you at like very little growth. 20% is like heavy growth if you're really trying to grow. We're always usually like 20% in marketing.
Yeah.
We spend a lot in marketing.
Right.
But with the memberships, yeah, I mean, they get unlimited free visits. I don't care how many times they call.
Yeah. See, I was in that mindset too. It's like, to me, just get to the house.
Yeah, call us as much as you want.
Yeah.
So we use a couple different tactics on it. When well, first of all, before I get into the technician tactics, I believe you pitch it to them at the CSR level as well.
Yeah, we try to sell it over the phone.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they sell it out in the field, and then we don't sell it yearly, which is kind of. I've heard people on other podcasts say it's not good. They say that'll limit you if you don't sell it yearly, but for us, it's all about the cash flow. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't want to go to your house in July and give you a discount off of the service and then add back the cost of the membership
Right.
now to wash. So you're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm just paying the same price I was going to anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, I have to try to renew you on that because I don't need the money in July. I need it in December.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's why we only do it. Yeah, now you still could. I mean, you could do that. You know, there's nothing inherently wrong with it because
You're still getting the same amount of dollar.
yeah,
Right.
And you could just call them up in July and say, hey, you know, it's time. You know, it's about to expire. Let us come out there for free.
Mm-hmm.
Go do a free inspection since they're still a member, and then try to sell a yearly again.
Yeah, but see, then that puts you in the sense of now you got to sell it again.
Yeah, now you got to
Sure.
sell it
Exactly.
When they're already on it, you know, they might call you in June.
Yeah.
And then you go right. You don't have to resell them the membership.
Yeah.
All you have to do is resell them you. You come back out, you do what you do, you give them good work, and say, well, now I remember why I bought this membership.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And it just re-ups every year, I guess.
We just keep it monthly.
Monthly,
Once
right?
you sign on,
Yeah.
you're monthly, and that's it.
Yeah, there was a lady, she talked about how she originally started with the yearly, like $100 a year or whatever. But she's like, she got to a certain number of memberships and she couldn't move past it. It's like,
I've heard
you
that.
know. And so when she switched over to monthly, she blew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she couldn't get past it on a yearly.
Yeah, she couldn't get she grew it, but she couldn't get past a certain number of memberships. And then once she switched back over to a monthly membership where they pay, you know, $12, $13 a month or whatever she was charging, people started to do that now. I don't know what it was, and then she was like, you know, because at the end of the year, it's if it's recurring, also it keeps you top of mind. It's like, oh, $15 came out again. The sprinkler guys. So it's kind of a reminder, I guess. I'm not sure why it worked or didn't work, but yeah, she said she grew to a certain number of memberships and she just stalled out. And then when she switched over to monthly, it took off again.
Well, there's so many membership and subscription based things that we have in our daily lives. You know, people see it as a normal thing, like, oh, okay, they've got a membership. Let me get a subscription. Let me get on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because to them, it's normal.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Versus, you know, like older generation of people, they would want to pay more of the yearly because they're thinking, you know, okay, I'm gonna pay this bill, we're good.
Yeah, one and done.
One and done. Now everybody else is already acclimated to automatic drafts and subscriptions and things like that. And you know, if the membership doesn't get sold over the phone, you know, by the CSR, you know, you get the guys out there, like, you know, there's a couple different ways you can use the membership as a tactic, but you know, the biggest thing you got to remember when you're selling a membership is you're trying to buy that customer.
Mm-hmm.
Of anything else, you know, versus closing a high ticket or anything like that, you're trying to buy that customer. Because once they buy your membership, who else are they going to call?
Right.
Because now it's free for them to call us.
Right.
They get priority service. They get discounts, you know, on that first visit. And, you know, and we got a lot of guys that use it, you know, as a tactic, you know, when, you know, the customer doesn't want to buy anything, like, hey, you know, if you'll get the membership today, you know, we'll give you, you know, your first visit, you get 2 free sprinkler heads just off this first visit. So if this is all you're going to get, why don't you just go ahead and get this? We'll set you up on it today. And then I found a lot of success in a lot of times when it comes to upselling, your highest success rate comes from by the time you get to whatever option they sign on, you're usually at the point of whatever they called about, you've either already taken care of it or given it to them for free.
Right, right.
So now they're like, oh, well, now I got this taken care of. Let me look at this other stuff. You know, you're pretty much telling them, hey, why don't you spend your money on something you can get something out of versus just buying what you wanted.
Right,
or
right.
what you needed, essentially.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
You know, once they sign up for that membership, now they're in your database or your customer now. You can send them good deals, you know, and get them on that subscription-based style that they're used to, and it works.
Mm-hmm. And when you guys do the membership, I assume then like you say, you sell it over the phone, so you're not doing any extra marketing to sell the membership. It's just when they call, we offer it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll offer it instead of paying a diagnostic charge. just sign up for the membership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked at that too. Where it's like you basically waive it. That first visit is technically the cost of the membership, kind of like that, something like that.
Yeah. So you can pay the service call, or you can pay sign up for the membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a low amount that do that, but still, I mean,
Right.
you know,
Helps them out.
It's worth it when it happens.
Yeah.
and
That's how I call it, keeping an irrigation tech in your back pocket.
It's a good, as bad as it sounds, it's a good easy way to monopolize where you are, because once you buy that customer, you got them. Unless you do something, or something happens, they move, or you agitate them in some way, or they find somebody they like better. Which really, if you've already bought them, they're not really looking.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
it's kind of like, when you do mowing and you try to talk to the neighbor, like, oh, I have a guy that I already like. Mm-hmm. Well, and you can sit there and tell them all day how you're better, but they've already built that relationship with that person.
Absolutely.
Difference if we came in behind either one of us, and we're trying to pitch them, well, we can do this, we can do that. Well, I've already liked these people. I'm already on the membership. There's really not a lot you can say in that scenario to get them to convert.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they've already built that trust and relationship with that other company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna get free visit, discount, priority service. Why would you go?
I like the unlimited visits. That was something I was trying to push as well. Where it's like just get out there to the home once they sign up for the membership. It's like just call me. We'll come out.
Now it's all organic. You get to once they call, you're gonna get out there.
Right.
You got a chance.
Yeah. You'll probably need somebody in house for that though.
Because that was my thought process behind that as well. Because then with priority service you want to get there, right away.
Yeah. And I mean, our priority service is like just a couple of days.
Then
so
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
like same day.
Okay.
But we have enough that it'll fill up. Like summertime, we need. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to spread it out. Like I want the better salesman going to regular jobs, and then just have like a maintenance guy. Mm-hmm. He just runs out. He's just changing heads. He's going out for free, changing heads. Or
just just a guy with a lower conversion rate.
Right.
Yeah. Because a lot of the members too, we've already fixed all their stuff.
Okay. So let's say if a new client calls and they're like, I got a couple heads, that need to be replaced. Are you just going to replace the heads, or do you do the system check?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're members, non-members. Every call is supposed to be, So obviously things get slipped away when you have people.
Yeah.
Because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has a bad day here and there.
Right.
But, it's still supposed to be treated the same way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It doesn't get treated any differently.
Right.
Gotcha. That's still a customer. It's, especially if nobody's ever been there. That's still a customer. There's no telling what they could have going on. Mm-hmm. It needs to be. The only thing that's changing is now they're a member. Now they get a discounted price. Okay. And essentially, really, a lot of times with a member, and it's funny because it doesn't work. It should work more than it does. You would think it would, but once that customer's already bought the membership, they're already buying into your company. So when you go out there and you put on the show, essentially, as you said, and show them everything, you would think, now that they're getting the discount, they would be more ample to buy the things that you're selling. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it works a lot better.
Yeah.
But, we did an interview with a guy that we hired, and we're going to start training next week. And I told him, the biggest things to carry through when you're working is don't ever assume what the customer wants. Don't carry a different attitude. Don't carry an attitude from a bad customer onto the next one.
Right.
And you always remember the people that we're going to buy are always going to buy. The people that are going to argue and buy are still going to argue and buy. And the people that are not going to buy are never going to buy.
Right.
I tell people all the time, I remember people, years and years, a long time ago, I remember people arguing about heads being $20.
Yeah.
They're not going to buy. They're not going to buy, and they're going to argue. I had a guy cuss me out right in front of me, telling me how I was essentially a piece of shit, and we were a terrible company. While he's signing the agreement invoice for me to do all the work, and then I do everything, and then he's still bitching. He's putting his credit card in, he's signing, and I'm like, all right, well, if you have any other questions, give us a call. He's like, I will. He goes back to signing. Never leaves a bad Google review. You know, he just won.
Yeah, he's he's a complainer.
It's just the way he was, you know.
That's funny, man. Yeah,
Right.
we get some customers who like that, where it's like, they agree everything on the, you get those customers that'll smile in your face and then they'll give you that 3-star review or whatever. It's like,
Oh yeah.
bro, like, come on, man.
Well,
Thought everything was good.
I think a couple 3-star reviews makes you more credible.
I do too, yeah.
I think a lot of people, they're afraid of the lower star reviews, and so they like bend over backwards and into a pretzel to try to fix it. And it's like the review is for everybody else, and the way you respond to it is for everybody else. You're not
100%.
responding to the person that left the review. They're gone. They don't care. It's like you go now and you respond to that person in a professional manner. Say, explain your side of the story without doing a whole, essay or whatever, but just enough where the customer can, or the next customer can say, okay, this guy was a jerk. Company still trying to fix it, or vice versa.
Yeah, and don't be salty and don't be you came out there being rude to us. And
exactly,
rude,
like that's not helping you.
Yeah,
so it's the review. The way you respond is, once again, the show, right? Put on the show
you put
for
on a
everybody
show
else.
Because that guy's not calling you back. You're essentially just clearing your name for everyone else.
Basically, yeah.
I've had customers tell me, you get to their house and they're like, I noticed y'all had a really good, rating on Google, but I only wanted to look at the 1 stars, and he was like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, some of the things I read, I laughed at.
Yeah.
Because some people are smart enough to recognize, like, okay, that guy's just being a dick, essentially.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's why I think it makes you more credible. Because nobody wants to look at a company and see like 100 5-star reviews and nothing else.
Yeah, that's not the world we live in anymore. Maybe before, but now it's like people want real. They want authentic.
They want real.
And if you mess up, post a video about it and be like, hey, we screwed up on this.
Yeah.
Like, just go out and get ahead of it. You know what I mean? It's like all PR is good PR. It's how you spin it. You know, everybody's afraid of it. It's like, man, if something gets out there, it's like, get in front of it. You know?
Yeah, if we get a 1-star, I mean, the first thing I'm doing is calling that customer, trying to just see what happened. It's like, hey, I wasn't there.
Right.
Happened?
Can I fix it? Absolutely.
Let me get your side of the story. And really, the only time you can't really rectify it is if they just don't answer. Sometimes they just ignore you, and it's like, all right. Well,
Or the only thing they were just purely upset about is just the price itself.
Yeah, and
that too. You run into that.
I just had one the other day. Shay was out there. We gave him a free estimate. Shay, he was so mad. We were just like, don't even charge him service call.
Yeah.
Let's just leave. Still left the 1 star. I called him up. And I think the estimate was like $700. He starts giving me the usual runaround like these guys do. I own 3 businesses. I'm about to sell this house for $1.3 million.
Yep.
And he wants to make me feel bad about $700. And I'm like, we just start talking. And he ends up taking it down. He's a cool dude, but that's all it is. Just
you gotta go that extra step to fix it, and then it's like, man, but sometimes the customers, like you say, is just about the price. You can't. I can't do anything. You go out there, you give them an estimate. And they get on there and they dog you out, and you didn't even do any work. It's like, I can't believe they were going to charge me this much. It's like, I call those the Yelp people.
Yeah, and a few of those ain't even bad to have on there. If all you want to complain about is price, or you just don't want anything bad about your work or your They didn't. They fixed this, and now they won't answer my call. You don't want that stuff.
No.
Yep.
You don't want stuff like, well, they left without doing anything, or. You don't want those.
Yeah, those definitely want to work on it. But again, that's all in the level of service that you're offering, and I think most people in business are stand-up people, but we're still humans. And if you act like a human, and your customers act like humans, everybody usually can work something out. Is when you start to run and hide and try to get whatever. It's like you're not helping yourself and you're not helping the industry, you're not helping the customers. So it's like just try to be as above board as you can.
Yeah.
No, because they're going to carry that attitude on to the next contractor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're not helping anybody. So you run into guys. I've worked with some guys in the past, and I'm like, when you're fixing this, what happens to the guy that comes out to you? Like, say if you don't have that membership or whatever, and they have the mindset of like, well, they'll call me back and then I'll just fix it again. Because it's like they're almost fixing it in a way of like the customer's gonna call them back instead of just fixing it the right way. And then let's move to the next customer, and this customer can be happy. And then when they have a legit issue, you come back out for that. instead of not, just barely fixing this, just a quick fix or whatever, just so in a few weeks or a few months, like they're gonna call me back again for the same thing or whatever. It's like, man,
there's several things. One, you have no idea if that customer will ever call you back.
no idea.
No idea.
It's like you're not think of the next guy. Think of the next guy if it's not you.
Yeah.
And I think if you work in other industries and then you pivot into something else, now I can have a lawn maintenance guy's perspective, but I can also have a sprinkler guy's perspective. Because when you're mowing, it's like, I'm not gonna weed it around that valve box today. It's all right. 6 months later, it's covered up. You go out there as a sprinkler guy, it's like, man, why didn't they weed it around the valve box? So it's like you got to think of the next person. You're not the only person ever going to come out to this client's home. Like we're all in the industry of serving the home. So think about it when you're out there working, because it could be the HVAC guy don't cut try not to cut the AC wire with the weed eater or whatever. Like that's an exaggeration, but just like think of like the next guy that would have to come out here and fix this home based on your work.
Yeah, I think that about sales too. Like so many guys want to just show up and offer the cheapest solution because they think that's what the customer wants.
Yeah,
but you have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe what's best for the customer is offering to fix everything. That way they don't even have to worry about it for the next 3 to 5 years.
Which is why we like the options. Option one is like the very basic, very minimum. Option 3 or 6, how many you got, is bells and whistles.
Yeah, we're doing the whole thing.
You don't need a backflow device, but it don't have handles, so maybe it's on there.
Yeah. We're putting everything on.
So everything is there, and I think a lot of times we don't want to do that because that ticket can go up and up and up, and it's like, no, they're not going to do that. It's like they don't have to, because now you have an option. You got a lower option. You know what I mean? And I think one of the way they tell you to say it is like, Mr. Jacob, this top option, it might be too much service and too premium, but I got several options for you to take a look at, and then let me get through all of those, and then once I get through all of them, you let me know which one works best for you.
Yeah.
It's like you're already letting them know, like this top one, it might be there's some sauce on it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to choose that one, but if you do, it's there. And a lot of times, the customer, when you build out the options, they rarely pick the lowest one. They will pick the highest one sometimes, but usually they pick somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you're winning at the end of the day anyway.
And you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel like some sleazy. You're putting what they need, what they could use.
Yep.
You're not pushing things. You're just offering an option. You're letting them make their own decision for their home. What's best for them.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to do the cheapest one and then have to have you back in 3 months.
Exactly.
Or 3 weeks. In 3 weeks. But some people will. If you say, hey, I know this is all going to break, well, I'll just call you back.
Yeah, I'll call you back. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's up to you then.
I think it's Clover that says what you have to, what you should do, and what I would do is if it was my mother's home. And those are it's basically good, better, best, but they word it in that way. And then if you have a tech that's out at the home, the guys that don't really like to sell, they like to say, I noticed most of why. So I noticed you had this going on. Most of our clients fixed this. Why haven't you fixed it? So I noticed most of why.
Oh yeah,
because they don't want to sell. So it's like, well, I just noticed this.
That's a good.
Why? Most of the clients, when we notice this and we mention it, they go ahead and fix it. Why haven't you got it fixed? And then the client's like, well, I didn't know. I never knew.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I've heard of like what's a good. Most of our customers get this, or saying another version of that.
So same concept. Yeah, you kind of get them into the mindset of like, oh, everybody does that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I should do it too.
Yeah.
But still giving them the option of saying no, because you got multiple options out there. Because I've heard 3, I've heard 6. Usually, if you build out 6 options, it's basically 2 good, 2 better, 2 best. But 3's a good number. I think Joker Sarah is really the main one that says 6.
I signed up for his service MVP.
Yeah,
I was watching his videos. I like the way they do in reverse order, starting with the highest price and going down.
Work your way back.
Yeah,
Work your way back, because it's like that's how we do it based on his teaching. It's like you start with the top. This is everything. No, well, you go through all the options,
Yeah.
but then it's like this is the bells and whistles. This is the next one, the next one, the next one, and like I said, most of the time they're like, nah, because by the time you write that last option, it's like it really don't make sense to the eyes of the customer at that point. So they're gonna go at least to that second or third, somewhere in the middle, and then you're winning.
Yeah, if you start at 6,000 and your lowest is 400, I mean,
Yeah,
geez, it's like,
yeah,
and you can even hit them with that line. Hey, I know this one's got a lot of sauce on it. It might be too much for you. Is that
Yep.
safe to assume?
yep.
If they say yes, all right, we're scratching that out. We're
Yep.
going to the next one. It's
Go to the next one.
3,800.
Mhm.
We're going down. We just keep
Yeah.
going down until, now we're at 1,800. Okay, that's not too bad.
I can do that. I can do that. Finances is a big thing. What I tell people too is like if you in the pricing structure, my theory is basically, you can't be the cheapest, right? And if you know for a fact you can't be the cheapest, technically you might as well be the most expensive. Reason being is everybody in the middle gets forgotten. So if you're at $500, I'm at $2,000. Everybody else is at $800. The only one that matters is you because you're the cheapest, and me because I'm the most expensive. They might not go with me, but they might come. They're gonna come back and be like, "Bro, why the heck are you $2,000 and everybody else was 800, and the guy that I'm going with is 4?" So now you at least have another opportunity to have a conversation with them to explain again. Everybody in the middle, they're not getting the call back. It's the cheapest or the highest. So that's just my theory. It's like you can't be. For a fact you can't be the cheapest. Might as well be the most expensive.
I've had that conversation quite a few times with people. Why are you more expensive than any other person that I've called?
Mm-hmm.
Now you got the chance.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, essentially, what they're asking in the beginning is, I need you to explain why it sounds like you're screwing me. It's
Yeah.
exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
Really, what they're doing is opening the door for you to get. Hey, I guarantee you're not getting this from them. You're going to get this from us, this
Yep.
from us, this from us, this from us. Put the value back into the dollar.
Yep. You get that opportunity to do it again, and if you don't sell it the same day, and you're doing your follow up, when you call them back, there's they're gonna say you get that other opportunity to explain that to them again. Whereas before, if you're just in the middle, nah, I'm not going with them.
Yeah, those are more like one calls and done.
Yeah, yeah, and follow up is key. We in the past we did call, text, email every day, and we would do it up to 2 weeks. Call, text, email.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of follow up.
That's a lot of
It's a lot of follow up, but you would notice between that day like 5 and 11 is where you'd get people to finally say yeah. And most of it's like, I'll call you the next day. You say no, I'm out. I gotta keep moving. But it's really in the follow up because people are busy, and so. But if you're constantly following up with them, they see your text, they see your email, but they'll get back to you sometimes when they want to get back to you, or when they got time to think about it, and they'll hit you back. And email follow up is great. They'll finally be like, okay, let's go ahead and do it, But you gotta do that follow up, and it's a lot of people struggle with it because it's like, man, I gotta call, text, and email every day. Like that's overkill,
Yeah. Are you? I guess like one last thing before we get out. Are you using anything for the follow up? Are you using any automation?
Yeah. So on the mowing side, when we were mowing, we used Service Autopilots. And they had a lot of follow-up sequences and things like that. Now, when on the caveat to sprinklers, we're using Go High Level.
Okay.
Yeah, Go
So
High
they got
Level
all
has
that.
a lot of stuff like that. Zoho has a lot of stuff like that. House Call Pro, we basically use it for dispatching and financing. And then I assume Service Titan would have all of that as well, where you could do all the follow-up.
This stores all the follow-ups. We use Chirp to set all the
Okay.
automations for
Yeah.
text, email, voicemail drops, anything like that. You can
Now,
set up
Service
for Chirp.
Titan does give, so its technician sends out an estimate, right? And Service Titan will recognize if you have an open estimate inside the job profile, when you go to close, it'll say, hey, you've got an estimate open. Would you like to schedule a follow-up? And essentially,
Okay.
it doesn't follow up with the customer necessarily. What it does is it sets a reminder for you to follow up with the customer. So what it'll do is it'll beep inside the technician's profile, hey, you've got this estimate open for this client. You can go look at it. It gives you the option to email them, and it gives you the option to change the price of the estimate. It gives you the option to rewrite the estimates and then resend to the customer. But it's not like a personal follow-up where you could, say, hey, I just wanted to check in with you and see how you're feeling about it. But it gives the technician the option to say, well, I wonder what would happen if I, slapped on a 10% discount and resend it to the customer.
Okay, gotcha. You guys ever considered having your CSRs become like inside sales reps? Where basically you would go out to the home, do the diagnostic, you write it up, you pass it over to them, and then they call the customer and sell it to the customer.
Well, no, but I think if they do enough power selling pro training, they could do it because they're pretty decent at selling the memberships over the phone, collecting payments over the phone.
Yeah.
Power selling pros is such a well-rounded training
right.
that they could probably do that.
Yeah. The thing is just it does depend on the person answering the phones. It depends on their personality and things like that. But we did it on the, because we were in landscaping as well. And so we'd go to the home, write up they knew how to write up the estimate as well. And then but one of us could write it, or they would write it, or the sales guy would write it. And then they would be the one that took it over from there. We bring it back to the office, and then they do all the follow-ups and the calls, and they would sell it over the phone. They know how to explain what's going to happen. And then the customer gives them yes or no, or they continue to do their follow-up process. Just for people that are thinking of like, okay, what does my sales process look like? It can definitely be done that way as well. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that could work. I think that could work.
In the house is, I think, still best, but because like COVID showed you that basically like people don't want you to come to their house. So how do you sell to them? Well, you can sell to them via Zoom or over the phone. So that concept can still work. It's just what do you want it to look like?
Yeah, you can still sell over the phone. Getting a call flow down.
Yeah.
And then
what does it look like?
You can get it.
Yeah. I've had in the past we had a client, one of our CSRs, she would sometimes she'd spend an hour on the phone to close a job. But it'd be a good ticket. So I was take the time you need,
Yeah, get it done.
Get it done.
Yeah, that's what it did.
But if it's $200, like okay, we can't spend an hour, but $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. She's on the phone talking to the client because they just need that reassurance, and they would go from talking to just about the dogs and the puppies and books they read all the way up till she walked her into the closing. Because some people, they just need to they got to feel like they could talk it out with somebody.
Yeah.
Well, they want to feel like their money's going somewhere.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel like they're just giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than in the sense of taking your car to a mechanic and your mechanic's like, all right, it'll be $5,000.
Yeah.
You don't got a choice.
What did you do, man?
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. So you got to build out that, and that's to your point earlier, where it's like, man, the relationships when you're dealing with the AI, it's like you feel like it's leaving, but I think they're gonna figure out a way to it just sounds so human that it's crazy. And I'm not a huge fan of technology at all, but it's a tool, and if you're in business, you got to use all the tools at your disposal, man.
Like I said, you got to pivot towards it.
Yeah, like social media and stuff like that. I really don't like it. But you wouldn't tell from my feed.
You wouldn't be able to tell.
Right? I'd much rather just disappear.
Yeah.
But my feed is 2-3 times a day. It's all scheduled out, most of it. But yes, it's just a tool.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like it, but you have to use it. You have to adapt, or you get left behind.
You get left behind, yeah. You sure do. And I think a lot of business owners right now, especially in the networking world, they struggle with, well, what do I post? I don't want to post about family, and I don't want to post about this. And it's like, in business, it all ties together. It's like if I could not post about family and things like that, I wouldn't. But people want to make sure that you're human, and everybody goes to your profile anyway. You're like, who's this guy? Let me look at him. Okay, all they see is profile updated pictures. Like they're like, oh, this isn't a real person. This is fraud. But if they see the family, they see what you do on the weekend, or whatever that is, they tend to start to relate to you more. But that's also a long game too. They just because you start posting today doesn't mean you're going to get anything from it. It could be 3-6 months down the road. You're building that consistency along the way, and then in a year's time, every time something pops up and they're like, you need sprinklers or you need this or that, people are tagging you. And that's all you can ask for. It's an opportunity.
Yeah. Everything's a long game.
Yeah.
So you gotta start now.
Yeah. Better start. Yeah, because you're not behind, but you got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
Still got a chance.
Yeah, you just gotta start. You just gotta start. What do they say about the tree? Best time to plant it is 20 years ago, and then today.
Yeah. Next best time's today.
Yeah, same concept, man.
Well.
All right.
Well, that was a good one. That was a long
Yeah, I
one.
appreciate you guys having me out, man. It's most people don't. They're still in the competition mindset instead of collaboration. You know what I mean? So
We got to get everybody out of that.
yeah, it's too much work. I tell people all the time. Unless you got the infrastructure, but if 100 people called you today, how would you serve them all?